back again. I know we've been out, but we really just wanted to give you a few things or a few updates on why we were out. And here with me is Dr. Omandi. So, real quick introduction of Dr. Omandi, and we'll talk about the subject today, which is the the plight that has or is affecting a lot of men, young men here in the United States, and it's about sexual conduct and how we interpret the law. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So, what is the news? Well, what is the dilemma?
What's the dilemma is so we've had a few cases where young men are being abused over sexual conduct, and it could be touching or penetration over children under the age of 13. We've had a few convictions or pending convictions, and we are struggling. And the church, even the church has had a few cases where cases are being investigated right now, or things have happened, but we don't really have a definition, and we don't know how to break this down to the community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that is really a dilemma in the American justice system.
Mm-hmm.
And more especially if I have to talk about the most recent case of a friend of mine. I don't want to name because the case is before court, and
Yes.
they don't want us to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Who was recently convicted for first degree sexual penetration for a minor,
Mm-hmm.
read to be a 7-year-old
Mm-hmm.
girl
Mm-hmm.
who was in the custody of Scare, and then the case, he was arrested as an allegation.
Yes.
People thought that it was a simple case, but the jury has convicted
The jury.
the person, and is awaiting sentencing, which is very very unfair. This is a man who's a professional, married, he has kids, and now this has come out, and what evidence they have, many people don't seem to understand. It has become, surely you are a doctor and you are dealing with patients.
Yeah.
Do you think an old man, which penetration can somebody have with a 7-year-old?
Okay. So, very deep in terms of the fact that here, we have a minor. We want to delve into the evidence. Like, what evidence do we have? Was there somebody who performed, they performed an exam and they realized, okay, you know what, there was some sperm, or, there was some remnants, or we have DNA of the perpetrator in the victim. Okay? So we want to understand all the exhibits. So exhibits meaning what was presented and what was not. And how did we get to that conclusion? After how long was the victim actually examined, and who examined the victim?
Yeah. I can see the American justice system. Maybe it's because I wasn't born here, but I think I have lived a majority of my adult life in this country. There are many things the justice system takes seriously, like an allegation. If somebody makes an allegation, surely they do a good work of doing investigation about it.
Yes.
But there is a serious dilemma in the American system where they more especially, I've seen people become in trouble with matters related to sexual misconduct.
Okay.
And let me tell you, a very practical example.
Okay.
A friend of mine was arrested, and we said, why is he arrested? So when we went to follow up to get him bailed, then he gives a reason that he had a girlfriend, and the girlfriend invited him to his place. And then as they were talking, I don't know what happened. Then he had a knock at the door, and the police had come. That the girlfriend had called the police on him, and he was arrested. So that he was harassing
the girlfriend.
Yeah, but then when he went to court, the case was dismissed.
Okay.
But he had slept in jail. Now nobody was compensating him for that.
So, you know, I as what I'm hearing was maybe there was a misagreement or disagreement when, you know, he was at the girlfriend's place. And here, at the end of the day, you know, the law is the law. Even couples that are married, you know, you can be married to somebody, but if they do not want the advance, if, you know, it's forceful advancement, it can be considered sexual misconduct.
Then and you have said very clearly, but that's where we are having a dilemma now. Where is it considered that you have passed the red line? You know, the law itself does not give exactly where you are, the red line where you are not supposed to reach. There is a gray area there, and many people have suffered. Even I've seen in many cases in court where the victim is saying he was sexually he was raped, and then the other person is saying no, it was consensual. So the definition of consensual, and you know, these are topics many people don't say, and you know, let us be realistic. You say, what do you call? You know, you are a professional. What do you call it consensual and non-consensual?
You know, so I can, for me, I can speak to examinations. I can speak to the fact that, you know, here, if it's first degree penetration, okay? So, or, you know, first degree sexual misconduct, that means there is a minor involved and she or he is under the age of 13. And anything else. So, anything else like, you know, second degree, third degree, I mean, that's something that, you know, we can discuss about. But one thing we have to agree about today is any unwanted sexual advancement, because sometimes, you know, people may laugh and just say, I'm really, I'm having fun, but am I really? And that's why we have those questions. And we ask people, hey, you know what? This is what we are doing today. Make sure the person you're interacting with, or the person they were interacting with, the woman or the man, is not intoxicated. Because if there's sexual, like penetration, or, you know, any sexual things that happen, I mean, it could be oral, it could be whatever. If the person is intoxicated, are they able to make a judgment, a decision? Are they?
No.
Okay. So then those are the questions we ask.
Okay, let me ask you.
Yes, yes.
How do you know the person was intoxicated? Because probably this is coming after many hours or days. How are you going to test retrospectively that this person was impaired? Because maybe the allegation comes after many days down the road.
Okay. How do you know? Okay. One, here. I mean, did they actually say, hey, you know what? And you ask. That's why we say, was there, you know, did you ask them? Where did this happen? Because here, you know, if you found somebody in a bar, okay, it doesn't matter whether you had prior knowledge or you've had a relationship with them. One thing I'd say is you always want to ask, hey, you know what, my name is so and so, we've had a relationship. Even when it's an ongoing relationship, we want people to understand that, you know what, sometimes advances are not welcome. I mean, this is a month where we are talking about domestic violence. And at the end of the day, in Africa, you know, sometimes men would be like, that's my wife, and I am, you know, I can do anything that I want to do with my wife. But you know what? The laws are different. Is that why people are getting in trouble here?
Yeah, that would be the reason. You know, from
You think that would be the reason?
From Africa, women,
Mm-hmm.
they never have a vocabulary of saying yes.
They don't have a vocabulary. So
Yeah,
can,
yeah. It's an implied yes.
It's an implied.
So so that's what most of the reason why many people have maybe a problem here. Like you can say, no, I'm not ready for that. Isn't it? You say, that's African way. That it doesn't have to say, and that one can put someone in trouble. But the ignorance of the law, that is not the defense. I'm only saying that maybe that could be a reason. But in this country, a no means no, and a yes means yes.
Okay, so I love what you're saying. So there's an implied yes. You know, I tell you what. Now we are raising kids here. You know, we have situations that have happened. A lot of men, you know, who worked in other industries in Kenya are now working in the nursing homes. I mean, do they understand that, you know, there's a law, and when people say no, maybe they, you know, they mean no? Because, I mean, why are we having all these issues?
No. It's because I think we don't train them. I mean, maybe people need to understand. But there is also a very vexing issue where some people have gone to jail for that reason. Like a husband has a problem with the wife. And now, because of the legal challenges, the wife will get an easier way that if I accuse this man of sexual misconduct with the children, and they can come up with an allegation that he was doing this and they can coach kids. And some people have gone in. How can we differentiate between where somebody is being set up and where somebody has genuinely done that?
Okay, how can we? Okay, so a few suggestions that I have is cultural competency laws or cultural competency experts. Because here, you know, if we brought in somebody who can actually say, hey, you know, Dr. Omandi, we talked about this, and maybe this is the culture. This is what people have understood as being a norm. I think that would really help. Especially because we're coming here. I mean, a lot of men didn't think they were going to be nurses or they were going to be care providers. So, I mean, do they understand the gentleness? Do they understand the fact that, you know what, this is not just a job. It is a job and it's a calling because, hey, you know, this is not what people did in Africa. I mean, how do we actually...
No, but I think also before we deal with that, they do a mistake. Either this country is too fragile, they take it. You know, like when you are taking, you know, you take care of your patients. I mean, how would somebody, when if you touch the eye, you touch everywhere, and when now they accuse you, they are looking for your DNA. Of course, if you are taking care of a patient, your DNA is everywhere. How can that be used in the court of law, and yet your DNA, when you touch someone, your DNA will remain? Like if you are a patient, and then later on they are accusing you of sexual misconduct, then they say, oh, we will take the patient to the hospital to find the DNA. If you were taking, people even hear of people to take a shower, their DNA is everywhere.
Okay, you know, a subject for another day. But now here, now I'm gonna take you back to what are the definitions. For example, okay. Now we have a lot of our people. I mean, we don't have like set daycare systems because those are very expensive. As a community, sometimes we want to sit and just help each other. You know, like you know, if you have a child maybe who needs daycare,
yeah.
at this time, then you know what, I have a friend who can help. I mean, now that you know, there's been so much accusations, especially on the fact that we don't know the charges, and sometimes We think this is an easy issue, like what we were talking about. So we've had a few men who've been convicted of touching or involving in sexual activity with minors. And that's where the first degree sexual conduct comes in. So according to the Minnesota statute, it's 609.342. So before I delve into that, we can or break it down. We can talk about what are the cultural
Yeah,
issues
well, I'm not a lawyer that who can delve on the section, but from the cultural perspective, I like what you have talked. Like the incident I told you, it was like more like a good Samaritan. The family was helping to take care of a friend's child, and then they end up turning around saying that the man had sexual misconduct. And sometimes they want to say, oh, we found your DNA and the private parts. Now, if a child is maybe I don't know whether he needed a diaper or whatever was happening, or when a child is playing with you, the DNA, even your fingerprints can be found there. But surely, at the times we would also have to look at things from critically, and that's why I like our African setting. People will reason out. They will reason. But here now, when you involve police, of course, as a parent, if your child tells you that this happened to me, you are remanded to report, or you need to report for sure. But the only thing I say, before you report to the authorities, try to investigate, try to reason out what might have happened. At least talking, even bringing some close friends to talk first and see if you can resolve it. Because sometimes it ends up damaging somebody's life on record.
So here, short session, and you know what, we want to invite even attorneys involved in cases like this,
like these dilemmas.
So I'd say how about, do we give enough information to young men coming into this country so that they understand that here, these are the laws, this is what you will expect, and this is what you should know? I mean, do we have
at the times we do, but as I told you earlier, the American justice system has some gray areas. Sometimes you wonder, from the dilemma of those small children to couples to friends, people have been accused of those things. Some of them have served. I know a friend who served innocently when they had actually consensual sex, and then he turned months later. This was even months, like 5 months. Then the lady turned around, said that he had raped him. But it's because they diverted. They had diverted on other issues, and then now he had to come back and hit. When sometimes people use the American law to punish other people because they have their word understood. It's your word versus my word.
But here, then I want to ask you too. Look, I mean, we in America, shouldn't we understand the laws, like what this means? Because we cannot use the laws like from, say from Kenya, from Uganda, from another country to govern or to stay in this country. We can't say, okay, this is what used to happen in Kenya, because we are here.
No.
Yeah.
There we can't use. Even an American who goes to Kenya, if he commits a crime in Kenya, he will be charged in the Kenyan criminal system.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the only thing is that it's good that people understand the law of the land.
Yes.
There are some of the things, like those cultural baggages you come with. Maybe people need to be made aware.
Yes.
But also, we need a way also to, like maybe a lawyer can be able to explain us that people who should be able to understand to defend. I think sometimes even the evidence I've seen presented in court, sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like a case where that guy who came out of prison after 25 years, in prison for 25 years, because that he had actually raped someone and killed someone. Then when the DNA came, he was exonerated, and a different person was found to have done that.
So things like that happen, and things like that need we need to intervene, and we need to be able to actually sit there and say, you know what, maybe this didn't happen. Like, you know, let's break it down. For example, you know, I've talked about the O.J. Simpson case. I've talked about, like, you know, about so many cases. But I think now we need to talk about these cases and even what's happening right now, because we have people online.
I think it's a good topic. Let us go for break.
Yes.
Then when we come back, we'll delve on the talk more later about those other issues.
Awesome. Thank
So
you.
just wait for the second session
Yes.
about the dilemma of American justice.